Hello and welcome to another Writing Essentials Tools. No, Essential Writing Tools. Hello and welcome to another Essential Writing Tools video. My name is Jonathan, and today we're going to be talking a little bit about making a statement with your writing. So, when you write a story, it's good to include a theme to go along with that. And for example, To Kill a Mockingbird deals with themes such as civil rights or racism. The Yellow Wallpaper, which is one of my favorite short stories, also deals with insanity or the loss of reason. Although there are other different kinds of stories that could be taken from that story. And then of course A Song of Ice and Fire has to do with weddings.
What a beautiful wedding!
So like I said, it's really important to have a theme. Now when I started writing Knights Without Kings, I didn't necessarily have a theme in mind when I began writing. I pretty much just went into it just pretty much blindly. I knew what I wanted. I knew the kinds of scenes that I wanted. I knew what kind of fantasy I wanted it to be, but I just didn't know all of the themes. The themes kind of evolved on their own, and once the story was finished, I was able to go back and really flesh out the themes that were in there and cut some out that didn't have any place being there. And honestly, that really hurt me in the long run, time-wise, because I spent a lot of time working on themes or ideas and plot points and strings that I just didn't end up keeping in the story for the sake of plot, pacing, for those reasons. So it's really important when you start writing a story that you have your initial statement fleshed out already. For example, in Knights Without Kings, if I were to say some of the statements that this book makes would be loss, betrayal, sacrifice, bravery and courage in the face of fear. But also there's some darker elements to it, and this is not a problem, but this is a common theme with stories, is that death is one of the highest stakes you have in a story. If you think about it, all of your favorite shows, books, TV series, death, when it's on the line, it raises the risk to the upteenth degree. And this is a common trope, if you want to call it, that whenever it just raises the tension, right? Think about it. Anything that raises tension, most of the time, has to do with death. And I'm not saying it's cheap. It is effective. It's just used a lot. And I'm not saying that's bad. In my story, I wanted to point out that this character survived a certain incident, I suppose, and that does not mean it was better. So like the stakes were that high. I mean, obviously there's death is still a high stake in my book, as well as the end of the world, which in high fantasy that typically is one of those themes. I just wanted to point out with one of the characters, it just because she lived doesn't mean that everything is going to be better for her. In fact, everything is going to be a lot worse because she lived. And that's one of the themes and mission statements that I ended up having that I really liked having, because for a lot of people, going through things just makes it worse, So that's just an idea that I wanted to communicate to the reader, and hopefully they'll get it. Hopefully you'll get it if you ever read it. Which, by the way, the paperback version is released, so you can head on over to Amazon, and I have a link in the description where you can purchase my book, and you can see in my, writing in that. So I'd love to know your thoughts about it, so please leave a review on Amazon, and if you hate it or like it, just let me know. I'd love to know your thoughts about that. You're writing your story. It'd be good if you condense the outline and the story to 250 words or less. If you write that plot point, and then now, for example, you're writing a young adult fiction, right? Dystopian fiction, which everybody is doing, and it's so annoying, but I'm not saying all of it is bad. Maybe you're doing a better job than most, which I doubt, because it's filled with tropes and it's just stupid, insta-love and triangles. And I know I'm going on a rant here, but I really don't like young adult because it's just so boring. It's just so predictable. And because anything that strays from that predictability stops being young adult, I think. So if you're writing a story about why am I even talking about this? So it's a good idea to draft your mission statement early on in your writing process. So, for example, you have this idea of a story in your mind and you haven't started writing it. It's a good idea to write just a statement or some of the themes in 250 words or less. So I highly recommend that you do that. It really helped me in my writing at the end, I guess, because I started doing this towards the end, but I realized some of the ideas that I wanted to keep. And now I am working on 2 projects right now. One of them is the sequel to Knights Without Kings, and another is a short story science fiction collection. And I've done exactly that with both those things, is identify themes, identify the kind of ideas that I want in the story, that I want to convey in the story as well. So to me, one of the most important things is entertaining and giving something new and unique to the reader. Other than obviously the themes that I have, for example, the tearing down of a character so that when that character crawls out of the hole, hopefully he or she is stronger than when she initially went in. Those kinds of themes are things that I like to play around with the most. And but besides that, obviously entertaining is one of my primary objectives. Just as a little reminder, I'm taking all of this advice from the book Writing Tools by Roy Clark. And these writing tools have helped me in my writing, and I'm hoping that they'll help you. So this is kind of the thing that I'm using. I'll have a link in the description for the book, also on Amazon, if you want to follow along with this video series. It's going to happen every weekend. Or just get ahead and buy it for yourself, which I highly recommend you do that. It's an amazing book. It has great tips and tools and workshop ideas for you to do. So just so you know, this is where I'm taking all my writing essential tools from. With this trick, hopefully your purpose becomes clearer in writing, and hopefully your readers will be able to understand that too. I also wanted to add that a lot of readers will pick apart themes that the writer didn't initially include on purpose, and just roll with it. Because, you know, if your reader, that's what I'm expecting a little bit happen for my book, is when people read it and they'll be like, well, this theme means this. You know, that's perfectly legitimate. David Grohl, the lead singer of Foo Fighters and also the drummer for Nirvana, he said that, I'm paraphrasing a little bit, but he wrote this one song for a reason, but people will sing this song back for 100,000 different reasons. So just because you wrote something and you had something in mind doesn't mean that a reader will get the exact same thing from it. They may get something entirely different, and that's just art. It's very subjective, so just roll with it. You know, just because you didn't intend something to be the way the reader interpreted it doesn't always mean it's bad. Now, it might help you if you study some old pieces of literature that you've written, and some of that have been successful in that regards, and just go over it, and maybe if you haven't written a summary about it, write a summary about it, and that'll help you kind of nail down your kind of writing, the kind of themes that you like to, I guess, include in your pieces. Okay, as a workshop, something that might help you out a little bit, study some old pieces of literature that you've written and write down what you learned from them and the focus of each theme in the stories. They'll help you. I mean, they've helped me in the past, obviously. Knights Without Kings is the first novel that I've published, but it is not the first piece that I've written. I've written actually quite a lot, and most of it, most people aren't going to see, which is totally fine. For an amateur writer, that is, you know, most of what you write early on, you don't ever want to publish. But it's still good to go back over it and read through it and then pick apart the themes and the lessons that you're trying to include in your writing. And maybe, if it's something that you enjoyed, you can include that in another writing and kind of transfer what you learned from one book or one piece to another. So hopefully today's video has been helpful. If it has, you know, subscribe. I have videos like this coming up every week. I'm very active also on my Facebook. I post more than just these kind of videos. I also post like just writing advice and some picture prompts too. So if that's something you're interested, the link's going to be below. So go ahead and click a like on that. And because I've already mentioned it before, but Knights Without Kings has finally been released. So if you want it on paperback, it's available on paperback, also on Kindle. And I'd like to know your thoughts about the book itself. So just please let me know. And I'll see you guys on the next weekend, okay? Now be safe out there.
I got used to the silence as I